Hello, good evening, and welcome to episode 2 of the County Ladies podcast. Once again, we're joined by the gaffer, Steve O'Hara. Steve, how are you doing?
I'm good, Stu. How are you?
Yeah, all good, mate. All good, all good. It's been 4 or 5 weeks since we last spoke, but not a lot's happened. You've only had a couple of games in those few weeks.
Yeah, it's a bit of a quiet period around sort of November, December time, and because of cup games and things like that, the games become really sporadic. So we've had a couple of weeks off. We probably needed a couple of weeks off after the previous 2 or 3 games. We've come back rejuvenated and we're ready to go, ready to get these last couple of games out before Christmas, and then a little break, and then probably back into it full swing.
Did you get a break
January.
over Christmas as well? Yeah.
Yeah, so our last game is on the 15th of December,
Right.
and then we start back against Leeds on the 5th of January.
Right. Yeah, cool. Good stuff. So just onto November's games. It started off with a bit of a close defeat against York City, 4-3. I think they scored in the last few minutes, did they?
Yeah. Obviously, we were 2-0 down at half time, and how we were 2-0 down at half time is beyond me, because we'd missed 3 great chances. 2 1-on-1s with the keeper, and we missed a penalty as well, and then we got punched. And we ended up going in 2-0 down, and it was like, scratching our heads to say, well, how's this happened, sort of thing. But credit to the girls that came out. We got back into it. Went 3-1 with a goal from Bradshaw from a corner, and then they scored again, which made it 3-1. Sorry, and then we got back to 3-3, and we thought, right, okay, this is good. We're going well now, and we just got suckered again towards the end of the game, and that was sort of the rut that we were sort of been in, and with the Chorley game, obviously the Mike Union defeat was heavy, and then to lose that in a game really that we expected to be winning, if we're being honest with ourselves. So it was just a real rut that we got into, and it was a tough one to take, that York one. It really was, because I felt we were the better team for large parts of the game, and we really should have got something out of it. And it was a devastating defeat. But then we had a couple of weeks where we knew we didn't have a game, so we could take some time to lick our wounds, if you like, and get back. We had a complete week off. Let girls reset, let myself reset, and the coaching staff reset. And then we got back into it, and then we played obviously Cheltenham this weekend in the League Cup, and we were much better. We were much back to ourselves. We looked solid defensively. Took them to extra time. Who were a team who were in the league above us, and they probably expected to come and steamroll us, and they didn't. And we looked back to our best defensively. Didn't really create a lot in the game. We had a couple of chances here and there, but we looked solid, and we looked more of ourselves. And I was very proud of the performance on Sunday. It was to take a tier 3 team all the way to extra time. Listen, we could have nicked the goal late on to take the penalties, and I felt we deserved to get to penalties because of the work rate that we put in over the 120 minutes. Particularly considering we hadn't played for 3 weeks as well. So and they played every week, so they would have been, like I say, expecting to come and walk all over us, which wasn't the case. So yeah, that was it.
No, it wasn't. You're right. I mean, I was in the crowd, and I was obviously chatting to people, and we thought that you were going to win. We genuinely thought you were going to win, and there was a few Cheltenham fans who were a bit like getting a bit edgy. This is a bit harder than we expected, sort of thing. Because I think it's fair to say Cheltenham had a lot of the ball, but your girls didn't let them really, without being offensive to them, didn't really let them do anything with it. They didn't
I don't think they had us on the back foot. Like I say, they had a lot of possession, but I don't think they had us on the back foot all game. And
no,
you know, it was a very even game, I thought, and you know, we got done by a set piece corner in the 84th minute, um, and we got done by a mistake in extra time. You know, that was the story of the game, really, and
Yeah.
um, you know, I was proud of the girls because they fought right to the end. Like I say, you know, even to the last kick of the game, we had the last kick of the game, and Levi was so close to equalising, and you know, we did some
Yeah. I thought
analysis
you
on it
could
last
draw
night.
that one.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we did some
Yeah.
analysis on it last night, and the chances that we created were really good, and you know, we took a lot of positives from that game.
Yeah.
So you know, heading into this next couple of games, we're got our tails up again.
Yeah, and rightly so. You know, yeah. You know, I was going to talk about the Cheltenham game in a bit more detail because, like, you know, I think we said in the first podcast, the general feeling is that teams really struggle to go through you when you look at the trio you've got in the middle: Fran Davis, Jem Lancaster, Skipper. You know, teams find it really difficult to go through or over you. And even when they try going round you down the side, you had Liv Wilson on the right, Molly on the left. They weren't getting a lot of joy down the sides either. And you
No,
know,
they weren't.
I don't think they had any real chances to speak of, particularly in the first half.
Yeah,
I think
I
we
think
were,
most of their chances came from set pieces, and you know,
yeah.
I think Lucy's made a couple of easy saves in the game. She's made one really good save in extra time.
Where she tipped, was
I
that the
think that
one
was
she
just
tipped over the
after
back?
no, this sort of tipped it sort of behind her, and she sort of tipped it away.
Right.
I think that was a 2-1, so it would have killed the game as well. So it was a really good save, and then she made a one-on-one save as well. So which was also in extra time, but in the actual 90 minutes, you know, I thought we well deserved to be in the lead. You know, it was a great free kick by Lizzie Hamer. You know, it was the
It
perfect
was.
range for her. You know, the keeper had no chance as soon as it left the foot, it was in. You know,
It was.
it was a great free kick. You know, and I thought we held out really well. Um, made some changes just to try and slow the game down, if you like. And in
Mm,
the end, we got done with a set piece. You know, but
yeah,
that's football, isn't it? You know, they're
that's
the
it.
big they had a big contingent of players, shall we say. I mean, the left centre half, she was absolutely monster. She was about 6'3".
Yeah, they were in patches. They reminded me of Chorley. You know, not overly aggressive, but competitive, shall we say? But
Yeah,
I thought your girls, you know, it didn't phase them. Didn't
no,
phase them
I
at
think
all.
we more than matched them. You know,
Yeah,
and that was the pleasing aspect that you know we looked solid again, having not looked solid in the last few games that we've played. You know, we looked a bit open and stuff, so we did look solid, and you know we just need to start creating more chances and taking our chances really. But
yeah,
yeah, it was a very pleasing performance considering where we'd been. Um, but yeah, you know, on another day we could have maybe nicked it or held out, but
yeah,
it
without a
wasn't to
doubt,
be. But you
without
know,
a doubt.
quarter final of the national cup, we're quite pleased with that. You know, it is a competition that we sort of targeted at the beginning of the season, and you know we were close to getting to a semi final. So maybe next year. Eh?
Maybe, and why not? And why not? Because you know, this season, I'm certainly seeing, and I'm sure the other fans are as well, seeing progress week on week. You know, we're seeing something slightly different, something slightly better week on week, which is obviously credit to you and your coaching staff, but credit to the girls as well for taking that on board and you know, facing up to whatever's put in front of them and having a real good go at it. I think that says a
Yeah,
lot about their character.
yeah, definitely. And you know, and every team in every league in the country, whether that's men's or women's, they go through sticky patches and they go through patches where you know you're not getting the results or you know you are getting beaten, you are conceding goals. Hopefully that's our patch for the season and we can really kick on after Christmas and you
Yeah.
know look at Man City now, you know they're going through a bit of a spell, aren't they? And you know they're
Yeah.
probably one of the best teams in the world, if not, you know, the best team in the world. So we all go through it, you know, and it's difficult, but you've just got to keep plugging away. And it's credit to the girls. They've been turning up
Yeah.
for training in the numbers. They've been plugging away. They've kept the fitness levels away from training to a high standard. And hopefully we'll reap the benefits of that in the next 2 games.
Yeah, I was going to ask you about that. So obviously November very quiet in terms of actual match games. The Halifax friendly was called off.
Mm-hmm.
What have you done? Anything extra? Any extra training sessions to keep the girls fit, or have you just left them to it and added 2 sessions a week?
No, quite the opposite really. We give them time off because I think that's important. That's important as well. It's a long season. And certainly after Christmas that becomes relentless. Every week. So we give them a full week off after York. We didn't see them at all for over a week, which was needed. Like I said before, it was needed for them and it was needed for the coaching staff as well. Just to chill, relax, to reset, have a look at different things. In that time, obviously Lewis has left the club and gone to Liverpool Feds. So we've had to restructure the backrooms team a little bit, and we're definitely getting that in order again now. And so we kept it to sort of 1 session on the Wednesday, and then we had really bad weather on the Thursday. I think we come in and we done some classroom stuff, but we couldn't get on the pitch because of the snow came. And then the Halifax game was cancelled on the Sunday, so that was another day off. But then we got a full week's training, and when I say full week, I mean Wednesday, Thursday, the week after, in preparation for Cheltenham. And you can see straight away that the girls looked re-energized and ready to go, and full credit to them to take a tier 3 team all the way to 120 minutes and unlucky not to get something out of the game. So it is a balance, trying to decide which is best, throw an extra session in or give them a bit of rest time. And I think sometimes a rest is just as good as putting in extra sessions.
Yeah. Because that was again one of the things we commented on watching the game, was that going to extra time, we thought the girls might start lagging a bit, but they didn't. They looked like they'd been playing week in, week out, and they looked good to go. And as you said there, in the last 30 minutes in the extra time, it could have quite easily have swung in your favour, because you did more than enough to win the game, and you were still in it right up to the end.
Yeah, absolutely. We had a couple of chances late on, and that's down to the girls' personal fitness, because they do have a training plan, and we sort of trust them to stick to it. And you can see, it's there for everyone to see that they must do it because they look fit. They look as fit as them, and Cheltenham probably train maybe 3 or 4 times a week. I don't know what their setup is, but they might train more and have more contact time and more gym time. So real credit to our girls that people are noticing how fit they are. Because we do play on the front foot. We're quite a dynamic team, and we have to be fit. But they know what's expected of them, and to a player, they all seem to do it. So it is, it's really good to see, and it's really pleasing. And like I said in the first episode, they're a great bunch to work with. Yeah,
I'm sure they are. So if we look at December now, we've got Norton this Sunday, the 8th, and then we've got Huddersfield next week on the 15th. I've had a bit of a look at Norton. They've lost 4 of the last 5. All of those they've lost by 3 goals or more. Not suggesting for 1 minute that that'll be a given. I'm sure it won't. But Huddersfield look like a different proposition. They've won 4 of the last 5 and scored 18.
Yeah, so obviously start with Norton first. Norton are a very, very difficult team to beat, and they always are. Every time we play them, we have great games against them. They're solid. They don't change the way they play. They've got a great player in Bianca Owen who's a threat and has been a threat for the 3 years that I've been involved with Stockport. Even when she went to Newcastle, she was still a threat. They know exactly what they're there to do. They'll finish comfortable mid-table, and they're a great bunch. They're a great club. The people who run the club are really good. The facilities are decent for the level that we're at, but the pitch is heavy. So going there in December, we've always gone there last game of the season while I've been in charge, where it's been hard and warm and sunny. So going there this Sunday when it could be wet and cold and heavy, could be a different prospect. But it will not be an easy game up there. And the girls know that. The girls know exactly what to expect from Norton. First and foremost, you've got to win the battle. You've got to outfight them, outdesire them, before any quality of football is even spoken about. So, that will be a really difficult game on Sunday. And, we had a good result against them first game of the season where we beat them 3-0. But that counts for nothing because they're above us in the league. They've had some great results. They've had some poor results like us. So, but they are what they are and we know what they are. So, that it will be a tough game for us as it always is. But we're confident. We're confident. We've had a good week's training and hopefully we can go up there and take the 3 points. And then on to Huddersfield on the 50th. They beat us 1-0 or 2-1. Oh, I can't remember what it was. 1-0 in the beginning of the season. Well, 1-0 won it. So, they come down from Tier 3 last season and sort of, Glenn does a good job with them. He's got them playing well. They'll be difficult to beat. You play a bit of a hybrid system where they're quite fluid. So we'll have to match them on that. That game probably will be on because that's on our pitch. But they've got some good players and very experienced players, and we'll have to be at our best that day to get something from that game. But we've set a target before Christmas that we want to achieve, and if we can get that points wise, then it certainly stands in good stead going into the new year.
Yeah. Because I think looking at the league table, you've got 2 games in hand on both of those sides. So 6 points would be great, but 4 points would lift you right up the table as well. I think it'd take to about 7th. I think.
Yeah. It's a tight league. It's a really tight league. And I've said it before in this league. Anybody can beat anybody in this league. They really can. On the day, anybody can beat anybody. As we found out, because we've gone to Fylde, we've gone to York, and we've gone to Barnsley, who were all bottom of the league at the time when we played them, and they beat us. Barnsley and Fylde beat us 3-0, and York put 4 past us. So, anybody can beat anybody on the day, and we just hope that these next 2 games, it's our day. We but we're due a good run of form, I think. So, we're definitely targeting these 2 games to finish the year strong. And like I say, if we were to get 6 points, then that would really catapult us up the table, probably up until 5th. I think is it 5th, depending on other results. So
that's it. Depending on the
depending on other results. So we're quite confident that we can get something out of both games. So let's wait and see.
Yeah. I mean, personally, from a personal point of view, I'm looking forward to the Huddersfield game because it's going to be. I think it's going to be a great game. But we've got extended family who live in Huddersfield.
All right.
Don't know. I might drop them a message, see if they fancy coming over for a brew on the Sunday afternoon.
Why not?
Get them down. That'll be good. That'll be good. So good stuff. All being well, 6 from 6 wouldn't go miss in December.
It certainly wouldn't. And we have got another game in December as well. We always sort of play Liverpool Feds around Christmas time, in between Christmas and New Year. So we're playing them on Sunday, the 29th of December at their place, which is a friendly game that we play every year. So just to keep us ticking over. So if anybody wants to come along to that, I'm pretty sure it'll be a free entry one. Don't quote me on that though. But if people fancy a fix on the 29th of December, then get yourselves over to Liverpool, and that should be a good game as well.
Yeah, why not? That's it. Between Christmas and New Year, hopefully people will be off work. Liverpool's not a million miles away, and of course you'll be facing Lewis then, will you?
He's away. He's away that day.
Is he away?
Right. Okay. Yeah. I would have slide tackled him otherwise.
Should have got Kennedy just to go through him. Kennedy nailed him. Oh, we love you really, Lou. We love you really. Oh, so yeah, that's cool, mate. That's the games out of the way. So we're just on to a bit more of around the club and stuff. So
Yeah,
we said last time we've got 2 WSL players on loan.
we
One's
have.
Jess Brady, I believe,
Cheers. Yeah,
and
Jeff
the other
Brady's
is
Jeff Brady's centre midfielder from Everton, on loan from Everton. Um, really dynamic, tough tackling. You know,
yeah,
all energy central midfielder. Only 18 years old. Got bags of potential to be a top quality player. Maybe even above our level. But she's learning her craft with us. She's a great girl as well. And we're lucky to have her. I think she's actually in Everton's first team next week for a League Cup game against Liverpool.
all
So
right.
yeah, so I'm sure she's a blue through and through as well. So I'm
Is she?
sure she's going to be looking forward to that one. So
Yeah,
yeah,
good
but
on
yeah,
her.
we wish her well in that.
Yeah, I mean, she is, like you say, she's a very dynamic player, isn't she, Jess? She really
Yes,
gets about the pitch, and
yeah,
she has got a really good touch. She's quite a
yeah,
player.
she's a great little player. You know, we're lucky to have her, and she's for such a young age, she's going to go on to big things. I'm confident of that. So yeah, we really like having her around the club.
Good stuff. Good stuff. So how does it work then in the women's national league in terms of transfers? Is it a transfer window, or is it sort of like in the men's leagues in the national league? It's sort of there isn't a transfer window, or how does that
No,
work?
no, you don't have a transfer window. So if you want to sign a player who's at another club, you put on what's called 7 days notice of approach, which means you inform the club that you're gonna you want to speak to that player in 7 days, and that gives them chance to speak to the player themselves. The club can waive them 7 days and say no, you can speak to them straight away if you want to, and that's sort of how it works. And then you speak to the player, and if they want to come and sign for you, then generally that's what they do. With people like Jess and the other loanee that we have is Aisha Songu, who's a centre forward from Everton as well. Um, so she's a Polish international who's just
She
been to the
is.
under 17s World Cup, where they got through the group stages into the knockout stages. So yeah, she's a raw centre forward. Um, bags of potential again.
Mm,
Hasn't really had them as much game time because obviously she's been away and stuff. She had a couple of niggling injuries as well early on in the season, but she's back. She's back training with us again now, and she came on Sunday. Um, so yeah, we'll look forward to seeing more of her as the season progresses. But with the likes of Everton, we sort of reach out and make contact with their under 21 manager and general manager and stuff like that, and they sort of offer players and say, this player sort of needs to learn the women's game, and we have good contacts with them. Got
yeah.
contacts with Man United under 21s, Liverpool under 21s who have played in the friendly as well. So we that's how we sort of do networking between the professional clubs and stuff like that. And if they've got anything to offer us, then generally they're very good at sort of offering players up for us.
Yeah. So you don't, or do you? I don't know. Do you target sort of certain players and make contact with Everton and say, I'm interested in so and so, or do you contact Everton and say, look, we're looking for some extra players. What have you got, sort of thing, or how does that
Not
work?
we don't really contact. We don't really you know have an eye on players from the pro clubs as much. Normally,
Mm,
that's a case of we're looking for a centre forward or a centre midfielder or attack centre midfielder, and they'll sort of offer you the players themselves. But we do target other players from clubs, amateur players from tiers 5, 6, 6,
yeah.
4, 3. We'll go out and watch them, and then if we like them, then that's when we'll approach them. We sort of do our homework on them and stuff like that. So, it's not, we don't go in blind and just try and, sign anyone we can, sort of thing. We do some homework, and we make sure that we get a watch of them before we make any offers and stuff like that. But yeah, that's generally how it works in non-league football. But when you go to the pro clubs, they sort of offer you whatever position you want.
Yeah.
They sort of say, give you an option, say, well, we can give you this player and that player, like so. And with Everton, we got two good players, like so.
Yeah, brilliant. Aisha came, as you said. Then Aisha came on Sunday. I obviously I knew she was an under-17s with Poland, but when she came on, you wouldn't have thought that. I don't think.
No.
She put herself about. She was quick. She had a good touch. Certainly wouldn't have had a under-17.
No, she's a good player. She's got bags of potential. I don't think we've seen that full potential from her just yet, but she can certainly finish. In training, we watch her in training, and she can hit it with both feet. We had a pre-season as well, and she got some really good goals pre-season. So I'm sure there's more potential to come from Aisha. And again, she's a really great kid, and she's sort of Manchester based, which sort of suits her as well. Because I think she gets to train over to training and stuff like that, and then her mum and dad come and pick her up. So, she's got loads of potential, but I don't think we've seen the best of it just yet. But I'm sure the more she plays with us, then the more we'll see of that.
Good, yeah, good. So does that Aisha and Jess? I mean, you just mentioned there Jess is going playing in a cup game for Everton again. So will Aisha the same go and play? Are they both playing in the same game?
Yeah, they're both going to play for the first team, Everton's first team next week.
Brilliant.
Next Wednesday, I think that is. So yeah, they're with us on Sunday, and then they're not with us then until January. So,
right.
Yeah, because we have to rules and regulations. We have to deregister them, and they have to be registered for Everton. Honestly, it's just crazy. It's just like unbelievable. So yeah, so we won't see them after this week until January, and then they'll come back with us in January for the rest of the season. Then so yeah, but yeah, both good players and both cracking kids, and they're great to work with.
Brilliant. Yeah. Well, we'll keep an eye out on the WSL YouTube channel then for that one. If that game's on there, it might even be on Sky.
It's a League Cup game, so it might be on Sky.
That'd be good. Yeah. So if that's on Sky, I think what we'll do in a bit is we'll when we have a look, we'll put something out on the socials for people to.
It might be Sky, or it might be on like BCI Player, or something like that. But because it's Everton v Liverpool, I would imagine that it'd be televised somehow somewhere.
Yeah, there'll be something of it, won't there? Somewhere you would think so anyway, wouldn't you? Definitely.
Yeah, definitely.
Brilliant. I think, we've only been just short of half an hour, but with there not being many games in November, that's more or less it for this week, this month.
Yeah,
Steve.
Yeah. There's not much to talk about, really, is there? So
that's it. No, but hopefully, like we said, we'll get 6 points in December. Have a good run up to Christmas. Get a bit of a hike up the table. Get one over on Huddersfield. Hopefully,
definitely. That's what we're looking to do. To end the season, to end the year, sorry, on a real positive note. And if we can get 6 from 6, that's then halfway through the season. And we'll be on 16 points. Not what we were looking for at the start of the season, obviously, but it will be a really good turnaround if we can win. If we can get 6 from 6, but it ain't going to be easy. So we've got to be at our best. Yeah.
Is the Norton game the first reverse fixture of the season? Because that was, like you say, that was the first game of the season, wasn't
it?
I don't think there's been any others. Yeah, I don't think there's been any others.
I don't think we have. No. We've still got to play. We haven't played Durham yet in the league, and we haven't played Middlesbrough yet in the league. So,
right.
So we've still got 2 games each against them. So there's, listen, there's still an awful lot of points to to play for over the season. So what would it be? 12 games, so 36, still 36 points to play for.
Brilliant.
You know, so that'll take us to 46 points. I don't think we can win the league with 46 points, like, but you know, it'd be nice to get to 46 points.
Yeah, absolutely. That's it. You know, get a good strong finish to the season, or a good strong second half of the season in, and then you know, as they say, kick on and push on next season, all being well.
Yeah, definitely. You know, it's
We need
definitely
to get
something
get the girls' names on the back of the shirts next year.
Oh yeah, I need to tell you about that. Molly's changed their number, you know.
Yeah. So I spoke. Molly messaged me.
All right.
Because, she said, because obviously one of my daughter's friends, Isla, her friend Maddie, had 15 on her back. But right. Molly said that she changed to number 3, which is it's quite good actually, because I think Isla wants a Molly shirt as well, so we'll be getting that as well. So like, cheers for the heads up there, Moles. Nice one.
Brilliant. Get Santa on it. Get Santa on it.
That's it. Get Santa on it. Yeah, he knows the score. Right. Okay then, Steve. Well, thanks for your time again, especially we're recording this on a Friday night.
No problem.
Didn't get down to the usual Tuesday. But
just from me, I'd just like to say massive thanks to everybody who's come to watch us this year in 2024. Wish everyone a very Merry Christmas, because obviously we won't speak before then, and a very prosperous New Year. And we look forward to seeing everybody in the new year. And thanks to yourself and Russ for, you know, agreeing to give us a platform to talk about the club and promote the club as much as we can. And I'm really looking forward to doing more of this in the new year.
Fantastic. Yeah. Well, I mean, it is a pleasure. It's an absolute pleasure to do it, Steve. It really is. As we said before, you know, yourself, your staff, the girls, you're all accessible, and you know, you make it so easy just to sort of talk to during the games on a Sunday, and it's great. It's good fun. You know, and it's competitive football, and it is. You know, personally, I think Stockport County personally are doing a hell of a lot for the women's game, and long may that continue. Yeah,
and if you haven't been down to watch a women's game, make sure 2025 that you put it on your list to come and do, because it's worth it.
Absolutely. It really is a great afternoon out. It really is, even when the weather's typical northwest. I know I said Manchester then. I'll get myself a shot. Typical northwest weather, and it's wet and miserable and windy. It's still good fun, because there's loads of people down there. You can have a laugh, you can have a drink, you can have a pint, you can have something to eat. You get to watch a really good game of football.
Absolutely.
You know, what more could you need before you start your working week? Absolutely fantastic.
That's it, mate. That's it. That's what it's all about.
Brilliant. Right. Well, Steve, thanks a lot, mate. All the best for Christmas. All the best for New Year.
Cheers, mate, and the same to you.
And I'll speak to you in January. But I'll see you down at SSV before then. But I'll speak to you in January.
Steve. Okay. Cheers, Stu.
All right. Cheers, Steve. All the best, mate.
Cheers now. Bye.
Cheers.
And that's a wrap for this episode of the Scarf Bergara War. We hope you enjoyed the podcast. Remember, you can catch us every week on your favourite podcast platform, whether it's Spotify, Apple Podcasts or Google Podcasts. And a huge thank you to all of our Patreon members. Your contributions help keep the show running to bring the content you love. If you'd like to support the podcast and get access to exclusive special guest episodes, ad-free podcasts and a monthly giveaway, head over to patreon.com/the Scarf Bergara War. And don't forget to follow us on social media for updates, behind the scenes content and more. You can find us on X, Facebook and Instagram, all at County Podcast. Lastly, if you enjoyed the show, please leave us a review and share it with your fellow County fans. Your feedback helps us improve and reach more listeners. Thanks for tuning in, and we'll see you next time on the Scarf Bergara War. Come on, County!